powers beyond the physical mind. This is what abilities like telekinesis imply and ultimately prove. There are many documented cases of individuals practicing, demonstrating, and studying abilities like this, although inconsistent, for anyone who is genuinely looking. There is more than enough information available to recognize that something real is happening, even if we cannot yet fully understand or prove exactly what that something is. For anyone who is curious about the nature of these claims and abilities, this is a method to perform basic telekinesis, along with explanations on concepts deeply related to telekinesis in a literal sense. Let's get straight into the method I've developed to not only show telekinesis is possible, but to teach how to progress with it. This method begins with 3 items. You'll need a toothpick, a water bottle, and a piece of paper folded up to place on top. Your beginner psi wheel will look like this. Also, find a mask or covering for your face to completely eliminate the possibility of you breathing on the object of focus. Then, make sure your room is completely free of flowing air, close windows, turn off fans, and shut down the AC for a minute. This is the setup for our exercise. Now, set up your psi wheel on a table in front of you while sitting down comfortably. Watch it for about 10 to 30 seconds and see if it moves. It won't for most people, but if it does, it's fine. This is your control for our exercise. Then, test your face covering. Literally try to blow on the paper 3 times to make it move with breath. If you can still blow on it, change your covering and try again. The goal is to ensure that you cannot blow on it because of the masks, no matter how hard you try. Now after this, you are ready to begin. Slowly pick your hands up and place them under the psi wheel by about 6 inches or a foot. Observe for 10 seconds. Most people will notice how their wheel did not move. If it did move, it is okay. Now clear your mind. Only focus on the paper and your breathing. Do this for about 1 minute, and up to 5 minutes if needed. Most people will begin to notice that the object starts to move when they focus on it, especially while thinking only about breathing. This is the first example of legitimate telekinesis. Continue practicing to notice the correlations between how the object moves related to your attention and your breath. Focus on the inhale, then watch the movement. Focus on the exhale, then watch the movement. Then hold your breath and observe the movement. Maintain a clear and quiet mind the entire time for the most effective results. Pause the video if you need more time or silence. At this point, most people will recognize that this goes beyond any possible airflow from breathing or within the room itself. This is a direct influence of your consciousness, body, and mind on the object. Telekinesis occurs more frequently and with greater strength when the practitioner thinks about nothing and falls into stillness, or focuses solely on the object and the breath while performing the action. The alternative is sitting there trying to force the object to move, focusing only on yourself and your desire to make it move. Without proper training, this completely prevents movement from happening at all. Understand this difference, and you will begin to truly understand telekinesis and related abilities. Now, place your hands down in your lap. Some practitioners will be able to create the same effects using the mind alone almost immediately. For others, this will take practice. Pause the video and attempt. If you are able to do this, move farther away from the psi wheel and continue. If you understand this process to any degree, you will notice that the object continues to move in the same or a similar way even as you back up. This completely eliminates the possibility that breath is influencing the object, if that was not already clear. If you are unable to move it with your hands down or from farther away, it simply means more practice, meditation, and understanding are required. Telekinesis is not about one isolated factor, such as desire. It is about the system as a whole. You may practice this now, but limit yourself to 30 minutes or, at most, 1 hour. Side effects can be adverse, especially for those who are unaware of these abilities. They normally push themselves to practice without diligence or understanding. I also have an introduction document that explains my method of conscious energy cultivation. Learning this is like learning the language of telekinesis. It allows you to create more consistent effects and understand what is happening with far greater clarity. Without a method of energy manipulation, abilities like this are extremely difficult to understand. If you are serious about your training and cultivation, Check the link in the description. Now, let's explain some concepts showing how telekinesis is possible and how to practice safely. Now, to explain the premise of telekinesis, we must first understand the premise of consciousness, the very experience that allows you to see, watch, and understand this video. Consciousness is both the cause and effect of everything in existence. This is true in both the physical and spiritual sense. Related to the famous quote, "If a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound?" Understanding concepts like this is what allows a practitioner to access abilities they would consider beyond the mind. They begin to realize those abilities are always present, because consciousness is the source of everything. In this sense, consciousness also inherently contains everything, from the finest particle to the largest picture. Everything is the same in this sense. This is the true nature of not only telekinesis, but ourselves. A more grounded and logical reference point is Nina. Her full name, with links to no studies, will be in the description. She performed many feats of telekinesis that were highly controversial, yet consistent, and in some cases observed in controlled environments. While her feats themselves are impressive, the documented information gathered from the research is far more important. Nina reported very specific sensations and side effects that closely correlate with advanced internal alchemy and deep spiritual transformation. Yet, she was never exposed to such concepts in her life. The primary sensations she described were pressure and heat rising up the spine toward the head. This pressure was then directed through the forehead and hands to create consistent telekinetic effects, mainly used for her tests. Many people overlook the importance of this information, but what Nina was describing is known as the microcosmic orbit at an advanced level, the natural circulation of energy throughout the body. She had learned to intercept this orbit before it completed its natural cycle and instead expelled it outward, primarily through her hands, to create measurable effects. While impressive, this approach is inherently dangerous, and she suffered consequences as a result. Nina reportedly lost up to a pound of body weight during demonstrations. She also experienced intense and sharp spinal pain, a symptom associated with the process of Canon Li, a concept within internal alchemy that appears in numerous ways across many advanced traditions. These effects are also directly mirrored in the concept of Eastern energy cultivation, Dijeng, Qi, Shen, a concept within internal alchemy explaining the process of cultivation and enlightenment. I have not even begun to cover all of the correlations between Nina's experiences and specific internal alchemical processes. I'll make a video on this in the future. However, all of these correlations point to a single truth. This is all the same phenomenon used in a different way. It is only different in how it is taught, cultivated, and used. Nina used her inadvertent cultivation for experimentation and experience rather than refinement and stability. She had no way of knowing better, especially given the time and place she lived in. With full respect to her efforts, if Nina had practiced meditation and developed deeper understanding of self, she could have accomplished far more in her field. This brings us to the best modern example we currently have of telekinesis and its cultivation. Senbakai is the only legitimate telekinesis teacher I am aware of online. He essentially forced himself to understand telekinesis, which eventually led to a genuine understanding of non-duality. His methods were. His training aligns perfectly with my own and with many traditional systems across cultures. As the saying goes, there are many paths to the top of the mountain. Over the last 5 years, his uploads show consistent progress as he gradually dismantles the veil of consciousness. His method of teaching is not direct, but it includes almost every essential aspect to develop this ability in others. This leads us to the next key point. Everything is fundamentally the same, especially when refined to its smallest component or expanded to its totality. This understanding allows us to express infinite possibilities in a more refined and controlled way. We are expressions of infinity, limited only by perception. If this sounds irrational or impossible, that reaction in itself is the primary reason why most people cannot perform feats of telekinesis or anything related to it. When this truth is genuinely realized, understood, and embodied, moving an object becomes no different than moving your hand or any other part of your body. Awareness is everything. Consider this from a theoretical perspective. If you were completely unaware of your hand or foot, unable to see it, feel it, or sense it in any way, you would also be unable to intentionally move it. More accurately, you might still be moving it, but you would never know, because awareness is what allows movement to be recognized and directed. This is exactly how conscious energy and awareness operate in relation to the body. Every breath, thought, emotion, and action manipulates the same energy used for telekinesis. It is only operating at a different scale, and most of the time it goes unnoticed. In this sense, development is not about gaining something new, it is about realizing what you are already unaware of, and what has always been present. Each genuine realization chips away at perceptual limitation and allows for more literal ability. This must be true realization, not forced belief or intellectual reasoning. When awareness expands naturally, and perception sheds away, ability follows. This is the core premise taught by sages and monks through ages of cultivation. Let this information guide you towards the next genuine realization. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you are interested in more advanced concepts related to this, check out my Patreon link in the description. Continue to study and practice. Your efforts will inevitably pay off.